Hello everyone. In my previous lecture, I had explained the very first stanza of this character of A Happy Life by Sir Henry Wotton. I shall revise this one a bit and I shall move further today because I have to take up the whole poem. I shall try to. Let's see. How happy is he born or taught? Well, I remember I'm not talking about yourself. I'm not talking anything. Actually, my dear children, this is a great time when we are a bit worried, but the whole world is in great crisis. We hope that this crisis will pass over very soon. But my very dear students, you know well that nothing can stop for a long time. You are students, you are the future of the country, and I myself, being a teacher, this is my duty to support you to develop your own innate parts, your powers of mind, parts of soul. This is a very process to be connected to you. Let's be regular to join your lectures, to join your lectures of different subjects and ask your friends too on phone. Don't go their homes, stay at your home, stay safe. Of course, this is a slogan given by the government and follow it. And the thing that I would urge you, be careful about your studies because these lectures which are given by your teachers, they are very precious. They are very worried about you, therefore they are providing these lectures to you so that you could make a proper progress at your home. So I think you should get a proper benefit with it. Be benefited and ask your friends to join these lectures each and every day so that they are not left behind. Now I shall not talk anything else. I shall just return to the lecture. How happy is he born or taught? Is this a person who is born in this world, or sometimes he is taught well to live a happy life? How happy is his life? The first sentence, as I told you, had a very exclamation sign. I mean, exclamation sense basically. It says, how happy, very happy. How happy means very happy, extremely happy, over happy. So it says, how happy is he born or taught? This is the question. Whether someone is born happy or is taught to live a happy. The poet believes that it is both. Sometimes we have the innate parts in us that helps us to be happy, and sometimes in this material world, our teachers, parents, and someone else, we learn a lot of things to lead a happy life. So the poet is satisfied, agreed with both the elements, that a person can be born happy and also he can be taught to live a happy life. And says, a person that serveth not another's will, a person who does not believes blindly in another's desires, such a person leads a happy life. This is the teaching to live a happy life. Actually, the poet was talking about taught. So, this is the taught, this is the teaching, this is the message that one should get. So, says a happy life can be taught, and how it can be learned? It says, if you are independent of wisdom, if you keep a strong faith in your wisdom, then of course you will not follow anyone blindly. So says that serve not another's will. A person who does not follows blindly another's will, a person who does not decides his or her own goal according to the goals of his friend, his neighbors, etc. because a person who decides his goals according to the goals decided by his friend and so many other people, such a person is weak. He does not believe in his wisdom. He has less confidence. So a person of less confidence can never be happy. Over here the poet suggests as be confident, keep a strong faith in your wisdom, and then you will follow the proper path of life that will lead to happiness. Whose armor is his honest thought? This is honesty, truthfulness, and so many goodness that are in this world. If we believe in them, then they can save us from all the obstacles, from all the problems of life, like an armor. And simple truth is utmost skill, and a person who believes in his own truthfulness. Actually, it is very easy to show to be truthful, but to be truthful by our own self is quite difficult. So, the poet suggests us the second thing. I mean, to be truthful to our own selves, whatever we are doing. Sometimes, of course, this is applied to you whether you are listening the lectures properly or not. This is a question. So, but I hope and I'm sure you are getting a proper benefit from the lectures. Let's see. So, these four lines were explained last time. So, I shall not waste too much time over here. Well, I was just telling you about the figures of speech, and just then the video was over. I shall explain it today. Whose armor is his honest thought and simple truth his utmost skill. There is a comparison between the armor and the honest thought. Honest thought has been described as an armor. Armor is of course a different safety kit. I told you, a different thing. Honest thoughts can never be seen, but this armor can be seen. So there are two different things compared, but both of them have one quality common. What is that? I mean, this armor is a safety kit, therefore it saves us. And honesty, when you are honest, your honesty also saves you to make a mistake, and therefore you have no problems before your life. So this is also a safety kit. Both of them are the safety kits, but they are different things. They are two different things, and there is no comparative word like as and so, and therefore this is metaphor figure of a speech over here. The same is over here in the second line. Simple truth has been told as the most skill, the superior skill. I told you the rhyme scheme A B. So I shall not go into again. Let's see the second stanza. Which passions not his masters are. Well, let's see. Whose passions? Passions means desires and wishes. Now see, whose passions not his masters are. Masters? Masters, yes, of course you have understood it. Masters means your teachers, but it is more than the masters. Master is a controller. Master is a person who also works in circus, who controls the lions and monkeys and so many things that he plays with. Let's see, whose passions not his masters are. A person whose passions, I mean whose desires are not his masters, are not his controllers. Who is not the controller? The passion, the desire, the wishes. We have so many desires in a single moment in our mind, in our heart. Sometimes we wish to be a teacher, we wish to be a scientist, we wish to be an IS officer, we wish to be a leader. So many things, prime minister, president, whatever. But he says, if all these thoughts, if all these desires become our controller, then we are a single person, and we cannot become everything at a same time. So it is suggested to us, if our desires are our controllers, if our desires are controlling us, means it is a wrong thing. We shall not decide anything, we shall not achieve anything, because we are divided in so many desires. If you are divided, you will never succeed, because you have heard the proverb, what? Divided we fall and united we stand. If you are not united in thoughts, if you are not united in ideas, desires, passions, then of course you will never stand, you will never succeed. So over here he says, if you are not the controller of your desires, I mean, if your passions, if your desires are not your controllers, then you can lead a happy life. Then who is the controller? You yourself must be the controller of your desire. You should be the master of your desires. If you are the master, if you are the owner of your desires, if you control your desires, then you will lead a happy life. Whose soul is still prepared for death. Death, actually, there is a negative word, but doesn't mean, it doesn't mean death here. Death here means sacrifice. Death here means sacrifice. Sacrifice for what? Let's see the point. Whose soul? Soul means, of course, your own inner self, whatever you are. Actually, you are not the only the outer structure that you look like. You have something within you that makes you speak, that makes you laugh, that makes you stand, that makes you think, and that makes you so on. So says, whose soul is still prepared for death. A person whose soul means whose existence is still prepared for death, is already prepared for death, means ultimate sacrifice, final sacrifices the death. He says, if you are always ready to sacrifice everything, I mean to sacrifice everything that is very dear to you. Actually, life is supposed to be very dear to a person. Yeah, of course, life is very dear to everyone. Nobody chooses death actually. It is those who are very fearful, those who are very disappointed, they sometimes choose death, but nobody chooses death, everyone chooses life. So says, if you are every day ready to sacrifice your best thing in life, I mean, if you are not that you call bothered with anything that you have very dear, then of course you can live a happy life. Says, whose soul is still prepared for that. A person who is ready to sacrifice everything at any moment. This is, and says, untied unto the word with care. Untied. Untied means opened. Tied means binded, and untied means open. So untied is open. It is not he is not in foundation. He is very open. And open to what? Open to the word, with care of princely love or vulgar breath. With care, actually, we are so much careful. Yeah, of course. I know you are so much careful. But careful about what? You too much care about who loves you and who hates you. This is the thing. These are the two things every human being wants to know: who loves him and who hates him. I don't know, but this is a magic thing. This is magical thing. Everyone is indulged, from the very eldest person to the very smallest child. Even if there are two small children of a same parent, then if someone says, this is very dear to your mother, then he goes to the mother first. I mean to say, everyone is very attached to these two things of love and hate. Over here, first of all, I shall clear it. Princely love. Princely means dear love, very dearly loved. And vulgar breath means criticism. Criticism means hateful words. If someone has criticized you, someone has abused you, like that. Okay. So says, if you are untied, if you don't care, if you don't, untied means if you are open, if you don't care of what? word with care of princely love or vulgar way. If you don't care, princely love actually, I think it also needs explanation. Love is generally, yes, someone can say, yes, I love you, yes, I like you. But princely love means, like, there is a king, and he had one son, and his son is very nutty. He always slaps everyone while walking on the road. But the people of his kingdom, I mean, the people of the king's kingdom, praise him. Why? Because he is the prince, he is the son of the king. So, whenever the king asks the people, what is going on? How is my son? Then everyone loves him. Everyone says, yes, the prince is very nice, very kind. But what is the reality? The prince slaps everyone. So this is princely love, means false praise. Those people who are gathered over there in the court of the king, they are reporting to the king very false thing. They are not explaining the real thing in fear because the king will punish him. So this is, I mean, princely love means false love, and vulgar means criticism. So says, if you don't care, you're too much of praise or criticism. Don't care doesn't mean you will not listen to anyone whether you are wrong or right. Actually, don't care means you are not supposed to be affected by them. If you are affected by the false praise, then you will decide in favor of someone. And if you are angry to anyone because he has criticized you, then of course you will not do justice. So, both these things, false praise and criticism, are the things that mislead people. So, poet says, if a person is free from the false praise and criticism, then he can lead a happy life. This was the second stanza. Let's see the third one. Who hath his life freed from rumors, whose conscience is a strong retreat, whose state can neither flatterers feed nor ruin make oppressors gate. Let's see, I shall move faster. Actually, in the first two stanzas, I have spent too much time so that you could make an understanding of it. But now, because this is the third stanza, so I shall try to move a bit fast. Who hath his life from rumors freed? Simply, you can say, who hath freed his life from rumors. I mean, a person who does not believe in rumors easily. Rumors is false news. Suppose your friend comes to you and says, your that friend is abusing you, and if you have easily believed him, then means you are very easy believer of rumors. Sorry. He says, if a person is free from the rumors, I mean from the false news, then he can lead a happy life. Whose conscience is his strong retreat. Conscience means his own understanding, his own wisdom, his own intelligence, his own soul is his strong retreat. Retreat means retreat, simply you can say, this is a shelter. This is a shelter. If you take help, shelter of your conscience while you are in trouble, if you are in trouble, if you have a problem, if you have a question in your mind, and if you go to your conscience, if you ask your conscience, then you can lead a happy life. But if you are in trouble and you have left the way, means you are leaving the way of happiness. So the poet says, you should believe in your conscience, you should believe in your wisdom, so that you should believe in your conscience like a shelter, so that you will make a victory over all your problems and you could lead a happy life. And furthermore, he says, whose state can neither flatterers feed nor ruin make oppressors gate. He says, whose state can neither flatterers feed. If there is such a person, such a person means A person who believes in his conscience, a person who does not believe in rumors, he is such a person whose state can neither flatterers feed. I mean, flatterers means those who praise someone false just because they favor, just because they had a very gain within, they have something to they need perhaps their favor, therefore they praise. So such to such a person who believes in conscience, in wisdom, a person doesn't believe in rumors, flatterers cannot come closer to him, and therefore nor ruin make oppressors great. Those who are oppressors, those who are enemies, those who are flatterers, they cannot ruin, they cannot harm a person who believes in his conscience, who does not believe in false news. Why? Because he doesn't believe in anything that is false. He doesn't believe anything that is against his own wisdom. So, to such a person, these enemies like flatterers cannot do any harm. Let's move to the next stanza. Who envies none that chance doth raise, nor wise who never understood how deepest wounds are given by praise, nor rules of state but rules of good. Who envies none? It says a person who envies none that chance doth raise, even who has raised, who has been raised. Raised means succeeded. Over here, success. Success. He says, happy person, good people never envy, never hate those who have achieved success by chance, by luck. Sometimes people believe in luck and it favors him and they get success. But those who are honest people, those who are happy people, they do not care of they do not care of such success, because they know that such a type of success that is achieved by chance, it cannot live for a long time, because the success that is achieved by the ability, it lives forever. And furthermore, it says, nor wise, who never understood how deepest wounds are given with praise. It says, who envies none that chance the faith, nor wise. Never, I mean, such people, those who are good people, those who are happy people, they never think bad of anyone. Those who have achieved success by chance or by wise means by evil things, by evil ways. Sometimes there are some people who try to achieve success by making someone fall, and there are some people who try to run harder to win the race. So if someone has succeeded the race by chance, otherwise by luck, otherwise by any evil way, happy people never hate them. Happy people are not jealous of them, and who never understood how deepest wounds are given by praise. And such a people, and such a person that has got success by chance, he never understands how deepest wounds are given by praise. I mean, false praise harms a person more deeper. So, a happy person, a person who wants to live a happy life, he must know that false praise gives deeper wounds to a person that are never fulfilled. And such a person, I mean, a person who wants to live a happy life, nor rules of state but rules of God. He is not bound under the control of any state. He is not bound to the rules of any nation, but he believes in the rules of goodness, rules of honesty, and therefore he lives a happy life. The next stanza is, who God doth late and early pray, more of his grace than gifts to lend, and entertains the harmless ray with a well chosen book or friend. He says, who God doth late and early pray. Late and early means all the 24 hours. 24 hours. Late and early. any time. Actually, they don't have regular time to remember the God. So every time, each time, all the time, God doth early and late pray. More of His grace than gives to them. Here, pray means to keep faith in God. Actually, poet never suggests us to be more religious like person. He says just keep a strong faith in God that has created the universe, that inspires the universe to move on. So we should keep a strong faith in God, and it is not because we need some gift from Him. He says more of His grace than gifts to it. We need a grace of Him. We need His kind eyes, uh, His kind desires to us. We should not expect any gift from Him. And entertains the harmless day. Entertains means and spends. And it spends the harmless day. The day has been described as harmless. Simply, you can say the day has been personified over here. So says a good person, a happy person, a person who wants to live a happy life, he always spends his day with a well chosen book or friend, in the company of good friend and good books. I mean, if you want to live a happy life, you need to be in the company of good books and good friends, so that you could achieve goodness from them. And we should keep a strong faith in God, so that we could get His grace to live in this universe, to fulfill the duties of our life. Come to the last stanza of this poem. This man is free from servile bands of hope to rise or fear to fall, lord of himself, though not of lands, and having nothing, he hath all. This man is free from servile bands. This man is free. Which type of man is free? This man, I mean, a person who believes in his own wisdom, a person who is the controller of his passions, desires, a person who does not believe in false news, a person who does not believe in false praise, a person who believes strongly in his own wisdom, a person who is not jealous of anyone, a person who keeps a strong faith in God. This man is free from servile bands. Servile bands means from the bands of slavery. From the bands of slavery. I mean, such a person is not slave of anyone. He is free from slavery bands of hope. And what are those slavery bands? Of hope to rise or fear to fall. These are two slavery bands. Everyone who is working hard, who believes in his duty, before doing his duty, starts thinking of rise. If he doesn't write, if he falls, then he gets disappointed. Says so this hope to rise that is in us, if we have started studying properly, just to get good score in the examination, not good qualities in us, then we shall be disappointed sometimes, because marks can be sometimes a bit lesser, a bit more. It doesn't, I mean, marks can never justify our quality. We should always center over increasing our qualities inside us. So says of hope to rise or fear to fall. Everyone desires to get success and fear to fall. And from the failure, everyone fears. You are studying very hard during the board exams. Why? Just because you are fearful whether I fail in the examination, and therefore you study hard all the day and night. Sometimes you just forget to eat, you forget your breakfast, but you are just reading and reading and reading. So this fear from failure, and this hope from success. These are the two slavery bands that bind all the people. But says if you are free from these things, how can you be free? Says you can be free from these servile bands if you are not careful about your success or failure, if you are centered to your quality, if you are centered to the training of your mind and soul, if you are centered to increase your qualities and innate parts, then you will not be careful about your success or failure. He says, Lord of Himself. I mean, in the first two lines, there is a very message of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. He says, Karmadeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Over here, he says, you need to do your duty. You needn't think of your results, whether it will be successful or unsuccessful. You don't think it. You need to do your duty. This is the message that is in these both of the lines. Let's go to next now. Lord of himself, though not of lands, such a person who does not care about his success or failure, he is Lord of himself. He is the owner of his own desires and though not of lands. Even it might be possible that he had not so much of wealth, so much of property, but he is the owner of his own desires, he is the owner of his own emotions, and having nothing, he hath all. And even he had no wealth, but he hath everything that pleases his life, that makes his life pleasurable, full of happiness.